This is Andy Gutierrez from StarWars.com, and you are listening to Coffee with Kenobi with Dan Z. This is the podcast you're looking for.
This is James Arnold Taylor, and you're listening to Coffee with Kenobi. I have a good feeling about this.
Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of CWK Live every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm your host, Dan Zaire, thrilled to be talking Star Wars with each and every one of you good journey friends. Let's welcome in everybody. Ben says, I love the new intro video. First time I'm getting to see it. Well, thank you, Ben. It was a lot of fun to put together, my friend. David says, Aaron, I've got a list of novels tonight. Oh, good. I'm glad, David. I'm glad you are here to join us, and I'm also glad to see you, Darren. Great to see you, my friend. Of course, Ben is here. Pleasure to see you, Ben. Aaron is here. Greetings and salutations. Aaron flying high because of this little guy over here and his new ship that's going to be made by HasLab. We'll talk a lot about that for sure. Darren says, hearing about novels will be interesting. Yes, I hope you get a nice little list of things that you can read. Hello, Jason. Great to see you, buddy. Did you get to see Indiana Jones? I'm really interested to hear your review. And, of course, Mary is here. Happy Tuesday to you, Mary. Wonderful. Let's do this. Let's see what we've got for tonight. We have got your top 5 Star Wars novels. And then we're going to look at the Ghost, the new Star Wars HasLab campaign. We've got lots of information about this exciting new offering from Hasbro. So let's go ahead. Terry's here too. Hello, Terry. Great to see you, buddy. Let's go ahead and take a look at what is brewing in the world of Star Wars this week.
And now, let's see what's brewing in the Star Wars universe this week.
Oh, that's wrong. Okay, what is brewing in the Star Wars universe this week? Where is it? Where is it, friends? Okay, let me try this again. I'm so excited to show you the stuff about the Ghost that I didn't even load it. I've got it ready. Boom, there it is. All right, so as you all know, HasLab, which of course is Hasbro's campaign that they do for not only Star Wars, but Ghostbusters, the Marvel line, G.I. Joe. Probably their most successful is the G.I. Joe line, as far as them all coming to fruition. They do a campaign where they create this incredible item that would be huge on a fan's wish list, but it would be probably too expensive to put into production. So they make a campaign and they say, look, we need to sell this many. And if we sell this many, then, or pre-order these many, then we'll actually put them into production. Everybody will get one. So the HasLab is this thing. It is the Ghost. Star Wars Rebels fame, the Ghost. This is the ship flown by Harrison Dula. The crew of the Ghost is in it, and it's we've been promised it's going to feature prominently in the new Ahsoka series. Jason says, I've not seen the new indie movie yet. Life's been pretty full, but it's on the radar. No problem, buddy. No pressure. I'm sure you'll get to it when you can. Hello, Anthony. Great to see you, buddy. Aaron says, it's so pretty. This is a really nice thing. Daniel is back. What's up, my friend? So great to see you. Says, hey, gang, sorry I've been absent as of late. No problem. I need to be better about reminding everyone about these live shows anyway. So, Daniel, it's great to see you. Anthony has officially finished grad school. Grad school officially ended last night from so able to make CWK live more frequently. Anthony, that's great to hear. We'll save a coffee mug for you. Ben says, summer's been so busy for us, it seems. It has. It's been really, really busy. So let's look at the Ghost. Let's look at what the Ghost is. So the Ghost, here are the dimensions of this beauty. It is 28 inches wide. That is indicated with the blue line. The length from top to bottom, if you're looking at it from the top, 34.5 inches from tip to tail. And the height, how tall it is 13 inches indicated in the green. So this is the largest starship. Now, the sail barge was made, but I don't consider that a starship. This is the largest starship made for the Vintage Collection, which the Vintage Collection is the 3 3/4 inch collection. This campaign started July 21st and will end on September 6th. But as of the time of this recording, it has It's been funded really, really quickly with 43 days, 3 hours, and 55 minutes left of the campaign. I mean, come on. This is crazy. Of the 8,000 backers required, it currently has 8,286. It's 103.57% created or funded. Remarkable, right? So this thing, this is again, Ahsoka Tano's going to go on a mission with this thing. There's just so much to enjoy about it. They worked with Doug Chang at ILM and Lucasfilm to create this vehicle, which is pretty neat. Again, it's the largest ship ever built. The Ghost measures over 28 inches by 34 inches. Again, 13 inches tall. It has the capacity for 15 different figures. Let's take it some more about this thing. So the whole thing splits apart for playability and to pose your figures. It's got an opening front ramp, a removable landing gear, multiple removable panels for interior access and play, as you can see here. The nose turret has a removable canopy. It's got a 360-degree dorsal laser cannon and a docking bay for the Phantom to snap into place. So it's got exterior paint and window bubbles to see into the action. It's not just a display piece, but it's also, and this is right from the HasLab campaign, it's an experience. That is the back of this thing. That is all of the engines that propel it. Terry says, still holding out for a HasLab Millennium Falcon, but this will do. You know what? That's my dream as well. But believe it or not, the Ghost should be bigger than the Falcon. Daniel says, Anthony, I'm starting grad school this fall. Dan may have inspired me. I'm so proud of you, Daniel. That is most impressive, Master Jedi. Anthony, congrats and best of luck with your journey. Anthony, congrats again to you, man. And you've inspired a lot of us as well. Jason says, this ship is absolutely beautiful. I just finished rewatching Rebels, so this definitely tugs at my heartstrings. It's really wonderful. Daniel agrees. This is huge. Yes, it's massive. All right, what else do we have about this thing? Let's look at the interior. So there's some shots of the interior. You can see the cabins where some of the crew sleeps, as well as our hallways. You recognize all these scenes from Rebels. On the left, you can see a shot of Hera standing in kind of that's not the family room. It's the crew. It's the galley and the lounge. It's got seating, a game table, and a dining table. The main cockpit seats 4 figures. The nose turret with seating for 1. Crew quarters has bunk beds, and the captain's quarters has a single bed. So they've thought of everything. Aaron says, nice ship, need a pretty large area for it. Good detail on the ship. It's really something. Shows how popular, as Anthony says, Rebels is among the Star Wars community. David says, can't say how happy I am for Aaron Harris. Dude, I know. I hear ya. There's a better look at the cockpit from the behind of it, and from the front. Again, it has room for 4. Aaron says, my signal is really bad right now. To rewatch later tonight when I get home. No problem, buddy. Let's see, what else do we have to show you here for this beauty? There's the front with the turret I talked about, operating the front blasters, and then of course you've got the 360 blasters on top as well, which again, if you've seen Star Wars Rebels, you're very familiar with this thing. As a bonus, you've seen her already, but this comes with Hera Syndulla. It's got a great, let me see if I can get to the background. Well, first, before I get to that, there's the Phantom 2. The first Phantom, of course, is destroyed in Star Wars Rebels, so they have a second one. It has a slot for Chopper. Now, this is not the actual full figure of Chopper, unfortunately, but it has, I think that Chopper's, it's just like a head that pops in and out, but it's got full features as well. There's Hera. There's the carded Hera. She's the captain at Heart of the Ghost, naturally. She is included with this thing, and she comes with a Mailaroon fruit, Kalikori totem, which of course represents her family, and she's got a blaster, which is amazing. The Phantom itself, I'll go back to the Phantom. I didn't really mean for this to be a commercial for the HasLab. It's already funded anyway, but hey, it's cool. The Phantom itself has a cockpit with seating for 1 figure. It's got functional landing gear. It's got a removable mini bust of Chopper that can be popped in and out behind the cockpit exterior, which is great, right? All right, so what else do we have here? There are a number of different thresholds for people. If they get, right now they got over 8,000 backers. Andy says they knocked it out of the park with this one. Yes, they did. Yes, they sure did. All right, so if they've already got 8,000 backers. If they get 11,000, then we are going to get the Star Wars Rebels vintage card Ezra Bridger. He comes with a lightsaber unlit, a lightsaber hilt, blaster, removable scout trooper helmet, and a white Lothcat accessory. Pretty fun. And all of these card backs are from Rebels, not Ahsoka. And it's based off of, I guess, the art, the iconic art. If they get to 14,000 backers, and this is the one I'm really hoping for, then you're going to get Kanan Jarrus. He comes with a lightsaber, unlit lightsaber hilt, a blaster, face mask, and interchangeable portrait head accessories. So whether he's the blind Kanan or Kanan before he faces off against Darth Maul, and he's got that face mask accessory. Jason says, Hasbro killed with the Hera figure. Those are perfect accessories. They really are. Mary wants to know, are the carded figures already in production? For example, they are including more carded figures for each tier because these figures be purchased separately. As the way I understand it, Mary, these are not going to be purchased separately in this particular package with these particular accessories and items. Now, will there be other vintage collection Rebels figures? I don't know. I would like to think so. But as far as their package here and how they come and the accessories they come with, I think this is the only way to do it. Dave says, whoa, Kanan. Yeah, I know. That's the one that would totally be like, I can't resist this if it gets to that point. And then, if you get to 17,000, you get Zeb. He comes with his bow rifle and the blaster form accessory and the bow rifle staff accessory, which is pretty neat, right? Pretty cool. I'm not as crazy about the head sculpt on this Zeb. I don't know. I get that they're trying to replicate that image of him from the art, but I don't know. It just doesn't work as well for me. Either way, if they get to 17,000 backers, good for them. Impressive. Here's the front with the ramp where the figures can walk down. Here's a look at Hera standing next to the ramp itself. There is a side view of the Ghost. By the way, I measured I got out a tape measure and just put it like the height, the width, the length, and I just put it in different places in my office and around the house. And I was like, wow, where would this go? Like, where would this fit? And Mason kept graciously offering, oh, you can just put it in my room, Dad. Well, how about that? And there's one last look at this beauty. So there you go, friends. The HasLab Ghost. Pretty exciting. Pretty cool stuff. I know Aaron went for it, and I'm not going to ask if you have because that's your business, certainly. But it's pretty neat. I just full disclosure, I haven't done it yet. I haven't pulled the trigger yet. I need to. It's $499. It's not cheap, right? So if I can save for it before it runs out, then I'll pull the trigger because I definitely want it. But I gotta be prudent with how I do it. But I did make room, so it's a great goal to have. Great goal to have. I've got a lot of people saying hang it from the ceiling, Terry. That's awesome. Darren says that too. Does that work, by the way? And Daniel says hang it with fish line. Okay, so it must work. I mean, I know Clayton does that with his office, Clayton Sandell. Andy says, well, my money is spent. And then Ben says, wisely talk to Mrs. Air first. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. No, if I can save for it, I'm going to do it. Because it looks, it's the Ghost. Rebels is like my favorite thing, as many of you know. All right, so there's the Ghost. Let's go ahead and look at the main topic for today. Today's live show is top 5 Star Wars novels. There are so many to choose from. You could pick things that are from the Legends line, or you can pick some from the canonical Star Wars. I just kept it to the fictional stuff. I didn't do any of the nonfiction source books or anything like that. That could be for another time, I suppose. But top 5 Star Wars novels. This was fun and challenging. Was it as challenging as listing all the Indiana Jones movies? No, it was challenging in a different kind of a way, I guess, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it, shall we? Number 5 for me, and if you haven't read some of these, that's no problem. This is a great way to make a list, like Terry mentioned in our chat. You know about the Facebook group, right? If you didn't know about the Facebook group, that's the CWK Cafe. It's a great spoiler-free, family-friendly place to talk about Star Wars with your friends. There's a massive community over there. It's just so much fun. And we also got some chats on Facebook Messenger as well. So come join us in the community, please. Terry says he's going to post a picture of the Falcon he hung on the wall, the custom mount. Yeah, please do. Jason says, I don't have an extensive library of Star Wars novels, so this was a stretch for me. Hey, it's okay. Honestly, we won't know the difference, and it will give you some good ideas for the future. My number 5 is Life Debt, and I want to put out a caveat. Look, this is a hard list for me, and it is subject to change at a moment's notice. A moment's notice. I mean, I started trying to figure out stuff with the High Republic, and then I was just like, I'm just going to have a separate show one day for the High Republic top 5. So that's what we're going to do, just to kind of let you know. So Life Debt is the second in the Aftermath trilogy. This is written by Chuck Wendig, and the entire book, this is all canonical, this is all about Han Solo and Chewbacca after the defeat of the Empire, going to Kashyyyk and liberating the Wookiees. It's awesome. I love it. It's my favorite in that trilogy. It's a really, really good book. I always recommend this book to people. So Life Debt is my number 5. Mary's number 5 is The New Dawn with Hera and Kanan's origin story. Such a good read, written by John Jackson Miller. That was the first novel to officially become part of the canonical Star Wars universe, too. Great call. Anthony, Dark Disciple, loved the continuation of the Clone Wars stories in a time when we didn't know if we would get closure. Yeah, that's a great one. I love that book. That is written by Christy Golden. Ben, I don't have one. I'm really bad at reading nonfiction. I have 1 to 4. Spoiler, they're almost all High Republic. Hey, there is nothing wrong with that. The High Republic is amazing. Speaking of, number 5 for David, Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. Great start to the High Republic Publishing Initiative. It was very hard for me not to put that on the list, but I tried to go with longevity as far as when I read them, except for one, which you'll see. But Light of the Jedi is tremendous. Mary didn't have any High Republic on her list. That's a whole different list. That's exactly right. That's exactly what I said. That's how I made peace with it, because otherwise it's impossible. Oh, Jason, pulling one of my favorites. Ian Desher's Star Wars, Verily A New Hope. Maybe not a novel per se, but it's an absolute genius. I love to read the others in the series. It's great. Jason, I highly recommend that you go through this Coffee with Kenobi catalog. I've got several interviews with Ian Desher. He's an awesome guy, become a really good friend of mine, and I love those books. They're just great. All right, that was number 5. Very fun. Woo, love that. And again, if you are still typing yours, you want to add it later, totally understand. You can add it in the comments anytime. Number 4 for me is Dark Disciple, which was just mentioned. Oh, really? I didn't switch it. Boom. There you go. Why is this not working? There we go. Dark Disciple. Okay. David's number 4 was Dark Disciple. Also, ditto what Anthony said. Yeah, what I wanted to add to that is I love Dark Disciple. Christy Golden is awesome. I interviewed her on the show. So yeah, most of these authors, you can go through Coffee with Kenobi's catalog and you can listen to audio of me interviewing them. But this is a great book. I got to analyze it for stars.com, actually. That was fun. I'll post that article later if I remember. But it's about Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos, and her, after she's left Count Dooku, and it's towards the end of the Clone Wars, it's terrific. It reads like Clone Wars. I think they took some of the existing Clone Wars scripts that were never made, and she created her own, added some more things to it, and just wove it into a novel. Tremendous. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. Anthony's 4. Last Jedi novelization expands and contextualizes the film in ways that I couldn't imagine. Yes, and written by the awesome Jason Fry, too. I agree. Great movie, great book. Mary, the original Thrawn trilogy, I can't separate those books out. Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and The Last Command. Got them all right here next to me. Can't see it from this angle, but I got them all right here. I haven't read those since they came out. So mid-90s, 95, 96, 97, I think. So I know I love them. I just haven't read them in a while. but that is a great call. That would be fun to do. Ben, Shadows of the Empire. Woo! I love the story of Dash Rendar growing up. It was one of my first real connections with the franchise as a kid, plus that game. They've had a soundtrack too. I still have that book, and I've always loved it. Daniel says, I've not read too many, but really love the Darth Bane series, especially Rule of Two. Everyone tells me that one's awesome, and I think that's a great call. Jason's got some comics. The Darth Empire graphic novel trilogy, Dark Horse Comics in the 90s. I love reading these books and keeping the Star Wars saga going during the dark years. I've never read Dark Empire, believe it or not. But everyone says it's just so good. So see, all of you are giving me things from my reading list to either read for the first time or reread. So that's pretty fun. All right, let's go to number 3. Rise of the Red Blade. This is brand new. Just came out last week by Delilah Dawson. Friends, I talked about it a little bit. This is it's during the Clone Wars, but it's also not during the Clone Wars. It's about a Jedi Knight who eventually becomes an Inquisitor. And it is a slow burn, but it is such a captivating read. I love it. It's a new book. And I mean, there's so many Star Wars books, but I put number 3 on my list. It's that good. It's just a complete page turner. I couldn't put it down. Cannot recommend it highly enough. Rise of Red Blade is awesome. And it's brand new. I'm telling you. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. Number 3 for Anthony. Heir of the Empire is a book that expanded my world of Star Wars beyond the movies and games and started me down this path of fandom. Well, wow, that's high praise. That's a big deal. That's a great book. I've still got the paperback of mine, the original paperback, which is pretty fun. Okay, sorry, I'm just looking on my shoulder to make sure it's over there because I move stuff around all the time. Mary's 3 is Dark Disciple. Ditto what others have already said. Definitely. 3 for David. Fallen Star by Claudia Gray, a novel to the end of Phase 1 of the High Republic. I love her work, and her name will appear on my list again real soon. You know what? That almost made my list too, but again, I just had to make a separate. At the last one, I'm like, I got to make a separate High Republic list because High Republic would dominate this whole thing. Yeah, that's a great book. Great book. Mary says, I just bought Rise of the Red Blade today. Mary, you won't regret it. It's so good. Jason 3 is Ronin by Emma Mieko Candone. She was also on the show. Duel is my favorite Visions episode, and I'm really thankful that Ronin's story continued. I read it on summer vacation last year and couldn't put it down. That's cool. It's a great book, and Emma's awesome. It's a great episode of Star Wars Visions too. 3 for Ben is Rising Storm. So we've got a lot of the major High Republic adult novels here. It says it's so hard not to put this one first. Kevin Scott leaves you breathless at the end. I can neither confirm nor deny whether that pun was intended. Oh, Ben. Kevin would really like that. Kevin would really get a kick out of that. Daniel also says Rising Storm by Kevin Scott was great, better than the first book in the series. It's awesome. Kevin's terrific. Terrific dude, too. So that's a great one. Great one to have. Love that. Again, so many good books. There's just not enough time to read all these wonderful books. Like, I would just love to spend a whole week just reading Star Wars books. I mean, we got to make that happen. Number 2 for me, Darth Plagueis. This is James Luceno. This is my first Legends line book. It was written pretty close to when everything became canonical, but it's still Legends. James Luceno is, he's a Star Wars literary genius. He's terrific. Terrific. I could have just made every single book on my list from James Luceno. But this is the book that tells the story, the Legends version of how Palpatine became the Emperor and his study with the dark side, how he encounters Darth Plagueis and starts learning under him. It is terrific. This book will always be special to me because I started to read it as Coffee with Kenobi was taking shape. In fact, I was in the middle of reading it when I was walking back from getting coffee, and Corey first sent me the original image of the Coffee with Kenobi logo from 2013. And I always associate Darth Plagueis with the beginning of Coffee with Kenobi along with Star Wars Rebels. So it's number 2 on my list for a reason. It's great. If you haven't read it, read Darth Plagueis. Go to your library, go buy it online, go to Barnes & Noble, Amazon, whatever. It's amazing. Number 2 for David, Lost Stars by Claudia Gray. The way she wrote this novel is incredible. That's a massive hit and a huge fan favorite. 2 for Jason, Ahsoka by E.K. Johnston. I really like the look into Ahsoka's story after Order 66 and the personal transformation she went through. That was a very popular one as well. 2 for Anthony, Light of the Jedi. I read it the week before my grad school journey started and was immediately hooked into the High Republic world. Wow, that's cool. Boy, what a nice little kind of a bookend too for you since you just finished your degree. Mary's got another tie. Boy, you can tell that Corey's not on the show because he's not big on the ties, but I will allow them, Mary. She says, Bloodline and Leia, Princess of Alderaan, Princess and Scoundrel as well. The Leia books really give us more insight into our space princess. Oh, that's cool. And as you know, we talked about and we saw, you got to see the little Easter egg in the Halcyon of Leia, Princess of Alderaan, but those are all great choices. Daniel, Labyrinth of Evil, The Revenge of the Sith trilogy. You know what? This is crazy. James Luceno wrote that book. I've never read it. I've got it. It's sitting right there. I'm pointing at it right now. I've never read it. Whenever I have an opening, another book fills it. But man, I got to read it. Now that you're recommending it, Daniel, it makes it even more so that way for me that I got to get to it. Mary says it's a 3-way tie. That's right. Clever. Ben's Light of the Jedi's too. Charles Soule's a fantastic writer and started off the High Republic with a bang. His exploration of metaphors with the Force has struck with me. Yes. Again, shameless plug, but I interviewed Charles about the book, and we talked about the Force and music as a metaphor. Pretty cool stuff. So if you haven't read that interview, be sure to go back and do so. All right, kids. Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, non-binary friends, here we go. What is the number one book that we have? Well, for me, it's Bloodline. It's Claudia Gray. Just like with James Luceno, I could easily have a top 5 Star Wars books with Claudia Gray in every single one, but Bloodline has always been my favorite since I read it. Story of Leia before The Force Awakens, talks about the evolution of the Resistance and the slow behind-the-scenes building of the First Order and Leia being on the pulse of that. And it's Claudia Gray writing Leia, which is about as good as it gets, really. Jay says, Mary, just hyphenate all 3 titles and I will count it as one. There you go. David's one is the Revenge of the Sith novelization by Matthew Stover, bar none the best novelization of a Star Wars movie ever. I thought that would come up. I didn't know who was going to bring it up, but that's a great call. I've got that one in the studio too. Mary's got another 3-way tie. Sorry, Corey. Master and Apprentice is fantastic. Then Brotherhood to follow it up, a good 1-2 punch. Cool. I'm glad that those are fairly recent too, so I'm glad that they resonated with you like that. Anthony's number 1 is Path of Deceit by Tessa Gratton and Justina Ireland. I went in with little expectations and ended up enthralled with the story and characters. He says, I was moved to tears. Last one was absolutely crushed by the ending. Worth taking a dive into High Republic Phase 2. Awesome. That's cool to see that pop up here like this. Jason's number 1 is Heir to the Empire trilogy by Timothy Zahn. Similar to Dark Empire, I love that I had these stories to keep Star Wars torch burning during a time when we didn't think we'd ever have any new Star Wars stories. And that can't be underestimated. Those things, along with the Power of the Force, Star Wars action figures, that to me, those are like such huge things that kept things going. Daniel just finished Dark Lord and found that a great look into Anakin. Yeah, that was the first part. Or no, right after Revenge of the Sith. Interesting how he becomes one with his new suit in Sith life. That's a good book. That's a good call, Daniel. And you did mention the Revenge of the Sith trilogy, so this is great. Terry says, the only one I remember solidly is Revenge of the Sith. Obi-Wan's battle against Grievous was so descriptive that I enjoyed the movie much more. Oh, that's cool. Ben's number 1, Fallen Star. Novel was gripping and stuck with me for months after reading it. Claudia Gray delivered a gut punch that really is a mark and made the whole investment in Phase 1 worth it. Yes, I agree. So good. Well, you all deserve a round of applause. Very well done, everyone. This is a hard one, and I hope it gives you all a lot of ideas for reading it again, whether you're going to reread these or read them for the first time. There's a lot of great stuff here. We've got an honorable mention from David. Bloodlines, New Dawn, Rising Star, I'll mention by others. Yeah, those are good. And again, I didn't put anything from the High Republic because that's going to be a separate list. But next week, Have I got a fun and creative top 5 for you, my friends? Are you ready for this? So, you're in the boardroom with Hasbro and they're saying, hey, friends, we need to decide on a brand new HasLab campaign for the Star Wars line. What should we make? Now remember, this is HasLab, so whether it's the vintage line or the Black Series or like a 1/1 scale lightsaber replica or whatever, you get to decide. You're going to have to come up with 5 ideas for Hasbro for your wishes for Star Wars HasLab's request. And look, I'm not saying I have any power because I don't, but I will pass these along to Hasbro, send them a link to the show, so people are going to hear your ideas. People are absolutely going to hear your ideas. So, pretty fun, right? I hope that you will take a good long look at your creative process and come up with these. It'll be fun. And Mary says, honorable mentions are Ahsoka and the Bad 2 books, Galaxy's Edge, Black Spire, and A Crash of Fate. Love those books. Ben says, this is awesome, like any toilet we'd want them to make. Yes, anything. Budget, sky's the limit, because you're just coming up with ideas. And Daniel says, nice, this is going to be easy. All right, looking forward to it. David loves your ideas, Mary. And says, can Star Wars, just Star Wars, or can Indy make as well? Yeah, put Indy in there too. Yeah, that's Lucasfilm property. Put Willow if you want. Is there somewhere online that shows what we've already made so we don't duplicate? So as far as you just go onto the HasLab. Just go onto the HasLab.com, and it will show you all the campaigns they've done and what passed and what didn't. I believe the Inquisitor from Obi-Wan Kenobi, they were going to make her lightsaber, and that didn't happen. They're going to make a Black Series scale Rancor, and that didn't happen either. They made the Mandalorian's Razor Crest. That happened. And they made Jabba's Sail Barge. Those are both vintage collection. So that's what they have so far. Dan says, sounds like Ben says, Daniel already has a top 10 list. I've got 2 right off the bat that I can just think of perfectly. Anthony says, get ready for some Willow requests. Dude, I'm ready. Let's do that. And while we're setting the stage for the next thing, let's jump into Ask Dan Z. All right, Ask Dan Z time. This is where you can share with me any questions you have about Star Wars podcasting, whatever, and I will do my best to answer them, give you some tips or suggestions, anything I can do. Mary says the Sail Barge and Razor Crest were both blown up in canon. I hope this isn't a trend. You know, Mary, I did think of this. I did think of this very much. By laser cannons, too. Both in canon, C-A-N-O-N, by canon, C-A-N-N-O-N. So, yes, I hope that doesn't happen either. Why did you jinx it, Mary? Come on. Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. All right, does anybody else have any questions or comments? I still haven't seen the new Mission Impossible movie, but I want to. Congratulations again to my buddy Drew Taylor for becoming the official Mission Impossible podcast, like the Fuse. David says, Mary! And she says, so sorry. You know what? They've already made season 1 of Ahsoka, so I think if it was going to happen, it was going to happen. Ben, how about Secret Invasion? I actually talked about that this week on Pour Over. It was a fun show to talk about. We looked at the first episode and debated if we wanted to keep reviewing it. Spoiler, we did. I love it. I can't wait till the finale tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Anthony says new Mission Impossible is so worth it. I believe it. It looks awesome. It looks so cool. I really want to see it. Gosh, maybe I'll go see it tonight with Mason if I can talk him into going. Huh. I'll think about that. I will think about that. Jason says, I think the ghost is in episode 9, so I'm worried about what happens in the Ahsoka series. Yeah, it is. It is in episode 9. It's also in Rogue One, of course, that's before. I'm not worried. I think it'll be fine. Either way, if you join the campaign, you're going to have one, so it can live on forever in your stories. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of CWK Live. Don't forget, in the summer of 2025, Coffee with Kenobi and Mouse Fan Travel are going to go on the Disney Wish. Go to coffeewithkenobi.com/mousefan-travel for all of your travel needs, and please click that Coffee with Kenobi sent you so that you can support me and get an amazing vacation in the process. We don't have dates yet for the Disney Wish Coffee with Kenobi cruise. Oh, excuse me. But when we do, I will let you know. Disney just hasn't announced them yet. So when that happens, you will know ASAP. Late night mission, exactly. All right, thanks again, everybody, for joining us. Be sure to join us next Tuesday, where we will give our top 5 requests for a future Star Wars HasLab project. I think that will be a blast. A blast, as always, to talk with you. To be a part of this amazing Star Wars community, please go to the Coffee with Kenobi Facebook group, CWK Cafe. You can find the show on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Please like, subscribe, follow, all those special things that help make the show pop and bring more people into this wonderful, wonderful community that is all because of you. This week, I got a really cool Coffee with Kenobi. I found someone that's in my age bracket who never, ever saw the original Star Wars until like recently. So he's going to have fresh perspective that you can't even imagine. He's like a unicorn. He's like the Shohei Ohtani of Star Wars fans. So how exciting. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to talk with him. Can't wait to share it with each and every one of you. Thanks again for joining me. We will see you next time, everybody. May the stars light your way. This is the podcast you're looking for. See you next time.
This podcast is not endorsed by the Walt Disney Company or Lucasfilm Limited. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com. Star Wars, all names, sounds, and any other Star Wars-related items are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of Disney and their respective trademark and copyright holders. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Coffee with Kenobi unless otherwise indicated.
This is the podcast you're looking for.
There's no one here.